Welcome to Knightline Extra on the award-winning Knightline Sports Network.
What's going on, Night Nation? Welcome into another edition of Knightline Extra, found only on the Knightline Sports Network. I'm Adam Eaton. Welcome to the Knightline Extra edition for the Houston week, Space Game week for UCF. Always a fun week when we get to see the uniforms. Those things look pretty sweet. Probably pretty fitting we're welcoming Houston to the Bounce House. We haven't played Houston in a while, so it's been a few years. Not since 2016 have we seen or matched up against Houston. And it's a different team than probably the team that we thought we'd see coming in. They are limping in on a 3-5 record coming off of a pretty close loss against SMU, 34-31. We have a Houston insider coming up here. He'll catch you up on what's going on with Houston. No De'Aaron King if you haven't heard. And so some influx of the quarterback position, new coach Dana Holgorsen and what his system brings. So we'll get to all that with our Houston Cougars insider. Obviously, UCF coming in off a 63-21 win over Temple brings us to 6-2 on the season. Again, another game where we control our own destiny. A win is certainly better than a loss. And to understand if that'll work, make sure you are tuned in 12 noon on Saturday. The game is on ESPN2 if you can't make it out to the stadium. If you can make it out to the stadium, get out there, enjoy the Space Game theme. The Citronauts gear is out. It looks pretty sweet. I'm actually wearing a Citronauts hat as I record this right now. So UCF put together probably their most complete performance this past week. So certainly curious to see if that can translate over again to this upcoming week. Injury updates, it sounds like Adrian Killens potentially can play. Sounds like he practiced. Otis Anderson referenced that he would be okay. It hasn't been definitively stated that he'll be out there. It does seem like Greg McCray will be out again another week, but AK status is still a little bit in doubt. So keep it tuned to the Knightline Sports Network. Find us on Twitter at Knightline. UCF_Knightline. Follow me on Twitter at Sons of UCF, and we'll keep you updated on that. But I want to end the segment kind of on a sadder note. On Wednesday, news broke that former UCF offensive coordinator Charlie Taff had passed away from a short bout with cancer. And it's funny when something like this happens, you sit back and you think about the person and who they were, and you kind of start to respect them and maybe start to remember some things that you had forgotten. I think for UCF fans, there's definite evidence that the UCF offense took off when Charlie Taff got here in 2009. And obviously he worked with some great quarterbacks and Bortles and Godfrey, and he was a big part of our success and going to the first Fiesta Bowl. So our condolences to Coach Taff and his family. Obviously Night Nation is behind you guys, and we'll certainly miss Charlie. So let's keep them in our thoughts and prayers, and we'll give Charlie a moment of silence here.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else, New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Knightline and Knightline Postgame Live. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
H2O Live, a new wave of water park.
Experience the next generation of fun at Island H2O Live. You choose the music, you choose the lighting, and you choose where to share your memorable moments at Florida's newest and most immersive water park.
Island H2O Live.
Now open in Kissimmee, located off US 192 and State Road 429 on Inspiration Boulevard.
Island H2O Live.
All right, Houston coming to Orlando on Saturday, and let's get to know our friends, the Houston Cougars, a little better. Happy to bring on Ryan from GoCougs.com. He is a Cougars insider, and he's here to give us some more insight on what we can expect from Houston. Ryan, thanks for joining us here on the Knightline Sports Network.
Thanks, Adam. What's up?
Not much, man. Got a game on Saturday. Figured we'd talk about it, see what's happening. Let's start here for the UCF fans who haven't been following Houston as closely. It's been a while since we've played. This year is a year of transition for Houston. New coach, Dana Holgorsen, came in with a lot of fanfare, came from West Virginia, obviously a Power 5 school, going back home to an extent. I know he'd been there as an offensive coordinator. But the season's kind of been a little bit noteworthy for a few things. De'Aaron King, there was kind kind of a Twitter feed that went out about some stuff happening in the program. So I guess through the first couple of games here from the season, how would you assess Dana Holgerson's tenure so far as the head coach at Houston?
Well, no 2 days are the same, and it's just been a season of upheaval, really. You have 7 starters that on the offensive side are no longer starting, whether for injury reasons or, as you referred to, D'Eriq King and Keith Corbin. They started redshirting after 4 games, and then the starting right guard quit, which was a Twitter fiasco that you're discussing. So you're missing a ton of guys, and just so much production from last year is no longer on the field, even though most of those guys are still in the program. It's just been a really strange year from the perspective of Dana Holgerson was here, and the offense is just vastly different than it was a decade ago with him. And you're scoring 31 points a game. That's well down from last year. The efficiency is well down. It's a different team, and it's been a struggle for people to really buy into the season, to get excited. And, it's a 3-5 record. You are what your record says, and this has not been a great team so far.
I don't want to spend a ton of time on D'Eriq King, but obviously that news caught folks by surprise. Obviously, a lot of time has now passed since that initial announcement was made. But I do. Is there any follow up to that story? I mean, is there more to meets the eye on this one, or is it simply as we've been told, which is he's going to kind of take the year, get acclimated, and come back next year, or has more been uncovered about sort of what maybe his plans are?
Officially, the story has not changed. A lot of people feel that he's not coming back. There's some acrimony from his family. It's just been it's a strange situation. And every time we think we have information, something else pops up. It was originally broken that he was leaving the program. He was going to redshirt and leave, and he seemed to confirm that news. And then within an hour or so, with the help of the school, he walked that back. And it's just they've towed that company line since. So there's not really a huge amount of information. At the same time that he announced he was redshirting, starting wide receiver Keith Corbin announced he was doing the same, and you don't hear a lot about him. And he was a vital part of last year's success for a very productive offense, but he is not getting the run that D'Eriq King is, for obvious reasons. So we will see. D'Eriq King struggled through 4 games. I think he threw for like 52%. It was 6 TDs. There just wasn't a lot positive about what happened with him. There's been 4 games since 2 guys have started. It's been kind of the same story. It's just hard to complete a ton of passes. The touchdown numbers are way down for the quarterback spot. So it's a year of struggle.
All right, let's move on to the guys who are, I guess, playing or actually on the field. But you mentioned something earlier I do want to touch back on. So how is this offense, from Dana Holgerson's perspective, how is this offense different than the offenses that we've seen from Houston in the past? What is he doing differently? How is the scheme overall differently?
So we're told the focus is on a more complex system. It is a more down the field system, more pro style, because it's just been quick hitters. What y'all have become very familiar with Coach Heupel, and it's just a different kind. He runs the ball a lot more than we saw from other air raid coaches in the past. He's really not an air raid coach anymore. That's just not what the system is now. So we're seeing a lot different, a lot slower offense. Last year you ran Close to 80 plays a game, and this year you're at 55 to 58, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So you're playing at a much slower pace. Last year, the U of H offense was the fastest in the country at seconds per play, and this year you're not even in that conversation. So it's just it's an adjustment for the players, and especially I think for the fans, because you're just used to scoring a lot of points, and this year it is not happening.
Obviously, quarterback play is a big part of that. So with Derek King out, Clayton Tune has gotten the majority of the snaps. I know Logan Holgerson played a game when Tune was injured. What can you tell us about Clayton Tune as a player? What are his strengths, and what are the things that he struggles with?
Clayton is a good passer. He's still very young. He's just a sophomore. The intention was to redshirt him last season, but Derek King got hurt in the 10th game. And so Tune had to play the last 2.5, and then the bowl game, that equaled to 5 starts, so he didn't get his red shirt. This year, same thing, was supposed to redshirt. King decides to redshirt, so he comes in. His first start, he gets a hamstring injury on his second to last snap of the game, and it has limited his ability because he's not fast like Derek King was, but he's a good runner. And because it has kept him in the pocket, teams have kind of just teed off on him. I think SMU had 7 sacks last week. Last year, Army had 10 in the bowl game. And he takes a little bit to develop the play, but the plays are going further downfield than they were under Derek King. I think with time, he could be a very good player in this system, but we're not there.
Well, when he gets the ball out, if he gets it to a guy named Marquez Stevenson, it's a pretty good idea. This guy was just like super fast, and we saw some highlights from the SMU game. He caught a pass and was gone in no time. But obviously, he's kind of a younger receiver, still kind of learning the role. How good is this kid? And how much do Holgerson and company plan to feature him in the offense?
Well, he's a junior this year, and there's some thought that he could go and declare for the draft. He had a really good season last year. He's having another good season this year, but the SMU game was really the first time that he has put big-time plays up. So he had 200 yards last Thursday night in the SMU game, but one of the throws went for 75 yards, another for 96. Well, those 2 throws were combined about 10 yards, and he did all the other damage. Sorry, I'm in Houston, and the World Series is going on, and the Astros are scoring, and things are a little crazy here
I
at
gotcha.
the moment.
Yeah, if you're not following home Carlos Correa with an RBI.
Yeah, and so Stevenson really made both of those big plays work. They got him the ball in space across the middle. For much of this season, they have put him against the sideline and not allowed him to work his athleticism. If this team has any chance in the UCF game, and I'm not sure they do, they've got to get him in space. And you can't keep bottling him up on the sideline as we've done for 7 games. But he's definitely your big play guy. The other big play guy is a running back named Patrick Carr, but he's been injured the last few weeks. So, there's a couple of different things that Stevenson can do. He's your offense right now.
On the defensive side of the ball, we haven't played Houston in a while, but probably the name most people would remember is Ed Oliver. He's obviously gone now. I think it's with the Buffalo Bills, if I have that right. So who are some names that the UCF fans should know that on the defensive side of the ball?
I think the 2 or 3 names you should know are all in the defensive backfield, which is not great. you don't want to have all of your playmakers in the defensive backfield. The nickel, Grant Stewart, is a high motor kid. He has been doing a lot of different things. He started to come up against the run and make plays. There's another safety named Deontay Anderson who made 2 touchdown-saving breakups last week. And then Demarion Williams is a JUCO kid who I have been really impressed with this year. He's done some great things. There's not a lot on the defensive line that has stood out. The linebackers have been just riddled by injury. The offensive line is probably the worst spot on this team injury-wise. There's 3 starters out on a mediocre line to begin with. But at linebacker, you have you just moved a safety to linebacker because of the lack of bodies. So the front 6 are a bit shaky. There was some some line penetration last week from the inside, which we haven't seen all year. For Houston to have any success, they'll have to do that again. But the defensive backfield is where a lot of the plays are being made on this team. And honestly, this team is giving up a lot of points, giving up a fair amount of yards, but it seems so much better than it was a year ago. So there's some hope there. We'll see how it continues to play out this year.
What's the perception of this game from the Houston perspective? Obviously, for UCF, it's a big game. We're doing our space theme this year, so new uniforms, all that stuff. So it's a kind of a big deal, I think, from a UCF perspective. How's this playing from the Houston standpoint? How are the fans and I guess how are the players kind of feeling about playing a UCF team that obviously had a couple of good seasons and some national notoriety as maybe taking a step back in some people's eyes? Is it still a big game for Houston? And do you get a sense that the fan base and the players are fired up to come down and play in Orlando?
I think it was a much bigger game from a fan base perspective in the summer. Mm-hmm. As the season has gone on and you've struggled, I think it has diminished. Last week against SMU, you thought it was a big game. The crowd was just not there. Truthfully, there's a bye week the week after this, and hopefully you can get some guys back, in the 2 weeks before Memphis. So I don't think there's very much expectation going to Orlando. As far as the players, you hate to say that anybody's ever overlooking a game, but it's an 11 a.m. start local time. Mm-hmm. It's early. We've had that happen a couple times. We did it at UConn 2 weeks ago, and the team struggled in Hartford. But I don't have a sense of how the team is going to come out for this. You struggle to score points. You haven't gotten over 4 touchdowns all year. So it really depends. This team has done a good job of getting teams to play at their level. They have not done a good job of stepping up to play at another team's level. And to make this competitive, I think U of H has to step up to UCF's level. You can't expect UCF to play down. And I don't know that it's possible this year.
Well, I don't do predictions because it's it's really hard to do that.
That's just dumb. Yeah.
But if finish this sentence for me. If Houston is going to win this game, they have to do what?
Create turnovers, which is cliche as all get out. Mm-hmm. But this team is pretty inefficient offensively, but creating turnovers. I would also say one other thing. Using the middle of the field. Against SMU was the first time you used the middle of the field all year, and that's where you had your success. This team has to use the middle of the field, throwing down the middle, 10, 15, 20 yards down the middle, hit the seams. If you're not able to do that, it might be ugly.
And then conversely, if UCF wins this game, that means they would have done what?
They would have kept Clayton Tune on his back.
Okay.
It's just, he's not going to complete passes when he's running for his life. And with the lack of depth on the offensive line, that seems to be the most likely outcome if UCF wins the game.
All right, and you can find Ryan at GoCougs.com. If you want to follow him on Twitter, you can follow him at GoCougs1. He's got some good stuff up there and some good recaps of the Houston game. And Ryan, obviously, we'll all be watching on Saturday. We wish you all the best, and hopefully we can catch up again soon.
Great. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Spice up your company with homemade marketing services from Tasty Gravy Creative. Tasty Gravy serves up a menu of budget-friendly marketing, graphic design, and public relations services customized to your specific goals. Co-owned by a UCF graduate, Tasty Gravy can help refresh your brand, strengthen your online presence, or reinforce your company's message. Contact Tasty Gravy for help with your website, social media, marketing, advertising materials, and more. Visit tastygravy.com.
Oviedo Brewing Company is the hottest microbrewery in Central Florida. Located 7 miles from UCF at the Oviedo Mall, this 8,800 square foot brewery just opened its doors 6 months ago and has already crafted 13 unique beer flavors and counting in their tap room. The tap room contains different styles of beverages, including ciders, wines, and craft sodas. Not only do they have amazing beers, they also have a full kitchen with gourmet pizzas, wings, and tacos. Oviedo Brewing has activities for each day of the week, such as Taco Tuesdays, Trivia Wednesdays, Pizza and Pint on Thursdays, plus live music on Friday and Saturday evening. But the best is Sunday brunch with unlimited beer mimosas. Need a spot for game day? Oviedo Brewing is just the place with their large TVs to catch all the live games. You will also find Oviedo Brewing at UCF tailgating sampling beers. And OBC support for the Knights doesn't stop there. If you need a spot for UCF away games, come to Oviedo Brewing Company, where the Knightline sports crew will be broadcasting live after the game. You can get all the details on their Instagram or Facebook page. Follow them at Oviedo Brewing CO. Download the Untapped app, and you can find out what beers are on tap. The food menu is also available on their website, oviedobrewingco.com.
All right, now that we've heard from Ryan from GoCougs.com, let's hear from, I guess, the head Cougar himself. I'm not sure how else to phrase this. But again, each week, the coaches from the American Conference hop on a conference call, and they talk about their upcoming games. And so Dana Holgerson was on this week. And here are his opening remarks when talking about the challenge of facing UCF this upcoming weekend.
Doesn't get any easier for us. We go to Central Florida here on Friday night, play them at I believe it's 11 a.m. There in Orlando, and it's a hard place to play down there, and they're doing a heck of a job. Josh is doing a great job. Brandon Shannon defensively is doing a really good job. Those guys are sound on defense and explosive on offense. Be a challenging place for us to go play. So life in the American, and it is what it is.
A couple things. I think it's interesting that he talks about looking forward or not looking forward, I guess, to having to come play in in the bounce house, and that's interesting that we've built that. We've kind of built that over the last couple of seasons. I think teams have seen, what it's like to play there, and hopefully we're continuing to get that, that home field advantage and really build that sort of 12th man mentality in the stadium. So it's cool to hear other coaches acknowledge that. The other thing that's interesting is he had no idea what time the game started, so he was not sure. He thinks it's at 11 their time. He's not really sure. So I guess tune in to see if Houston shows up at the right time. But who does show up at the right time every time for us is our good buddy Trace Trylko. He hops on these calls each and every week, and he hopped on to ask a couple questions of Coach Holgerson, and here's how that exchange went.
Yeah, hello, Coach. As you look at UCF on film, what are the biggest challenges you see from them defensively?
Well, yeah, they're incredibly sound with what they do. They don't do a whole lot defensively. Randy never has. I've competed against him in the past, and they're just incredibly sound with what they do, and they play incredibly hard. So got a lot of really good players. They're pretty deep. They got some D linemen that are thick that can move and play a lot of them. Linebackers are in a healthy place, and got a lot of secondary guys that are pretty good in coverage as well. So the biggest thing that stands out, I know they got good players, but they're not they're not doing silly things. and they're always in position. They're very sound with what their calls are and what their technique is as well.
What's interesting is, I don't know, did you guys pick up on that? Was that a shot at Randy? So in describing the defense, Randy doesn't do much. Randy never has. Now, obviously, Holgorsen coached previously at West Virginia. Randy was at Miami as a D coordinator, so there's probably some familiarity there. But I don't know if that's a shot or if that's a compliment. I mean, obviously, Randy's defense isn't, this exotic blitz scheme type defense, so perhaps that's really an accurate statement. But he really comes out and says Randy doesn't do much. But so curious if that makes its way to the bulletin board. If there is indeed a bulletin board in the locker room, it seems like in 2019 having bulletin boards in locker rooms is probably not the best decor. But I'll let somebody else decide that. So Trace then went on to ask Coach Holgorsen a little bit about the UCF offense and what they're doing, and here is what Holgo had to say.
Really got to stop the run. They're they're running the thing 45 times a game, and averaging over 200 yards a game rushing. So you think of UCF and you think of all their explosive plays that they get in the pass game, but it's all set up in the run. Got a lot of history and familiarity with what they do offensively, and you're right, it all starts with the run. Got to do a good job of being sound in your gaps and getting off blocks, and then having enough wherewithal to understand that they're gonna deep shot you as well, and you got to get your guys to be sound in the back end as well.
So again, interesting that Holgorsen references how well he knows something. So to be fair, he does have some knowledge on the system. So he previously coached under Mike Leach, which is kind of one of the same coaches that Josh Heupel sort of got groomed under. So sure, there's certainly some familiarity, I guess, with that system and understanding what it is. And he talked about the deep shotting, if you will. So I think he certainly had some game film, and sounds like that's, by the way, you don't need to watch a lot of game films to understand that part of it. But interesting to hear those comments. I mean, again, a couple of references to really kind of feeling like, it sounds like to me he feels confident that he knows what to do and what to expect. Now, whether or not his team can execute that, again, I think you heard from Ryan from Go Cougs that there's some concerns about that, but Holgorsen at least seems pretty confident that he knows what's coming. So let's see if he's right. But again, big thanks to Trace Trylko, who takes time out of his schedule each and every Monday to hop on, ask those questions. Even though he'll never hear this and doesn't know he's on this show, our thanks to Dana Holgorsen as well. Coming up next, probably the best and most exciting segment of this thing each and every week, I get to welcome on UCF Mike, and he tells you 5 things that you probably didn't know and probably never wished you did about our upcoming opponent this week. 5 things you must know about Houston. Stay tuned.
You've heard us talk about the great food at our good friend Kyle Israel's restaurant, The Little Greek Fresh Grill. The Little Greek now has franchises available. Please call 407-697-2272. That's 407-697-2272 to see what The Little Greek can do for you. Also, check out The Little Greek's newest location at 6536 Old Brick Road in Windermere, Florida. The Little Greek Fresh Grill. Fresh, flavorful, fabulous.
All right, back for another week to drop some key factoids on you for the upcoming Houston game. The star of the Sons of UCF, Mr. UCF Mike, has joined us again. Mike, what's going on, man?
Nothing, man. Just hanging in there, ready for another week of football. Getting ready for the space game.
Space game it is. Our opponent is Houston. I know, Mike, you have been deep in the library coming up with some good information. So are you ready to hit everybody with 5 just really interesting things that they absolutely have to know coming into the Houston game?
I am prepared. You ready to go?
I'm ready to go. I'll take the first one. So thing number 1. This is the 9th meeting between UCF and Houston, and UCF leads the series 5-3, but Houston has won the last 2 meetings. That's dating back to 2015 and 2016. Before that, UCF had won the previous 4, which includes the Brandon Alexander game in 2014. Mike, I know you remember that one well. In 2016, UCF was up 24-3 early in the second half, but came back to lose 31-24. I found this interesting, Mike, when I looked up that game. For context, this was McKenzie's true freshman year. His stat line that game, 19 of 33, 155 yards passing, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions with a 20 QBR. So we complain about Dylan Gabriel now. It's interesting to look back at some of McKenzie's freshman year stuff. But anyway, we are coming off of 2 straight losses. All of that means, of course, Mike, This is a revenge game.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't beat these guys in 5 years. I know we haven't played them every year. But going back to that 2016 game, we were up early. Houston that was their best year, the 2016 team.
It was.
And we were putting it to them pretty good in the first half. And McKenzie, maybe he didn't have a good passing game, but I do remember a touchdown he had where he ran the option and he flipped one late. I think it was to AK for a touchdown. And he showed glimpses of what was to come. It was similar to the option touchdown he ran against the Cows in 2017. That was a beautiful play. But sorry, I just got distracted.
It happens. It happened when you're doing 5 facts, Mike. That kind of stuff will happen. Distractions will absolutely take place for sure.
Yeah. So this is a revenge game, and the 2014 game, yeah, exactly. The Brandon Alexander play is one of the biggest plays in UCF history.
All right, are you prepared for number 2? Do you need a break here? Or do you want to roll right into the second one?
Distraction's gone now. I don't know what was going on there.
All right, distraction has left, and Mike is now able to give us our second fact, the thing we have to know about the upcoming game. Mike, what do you got?
The quarterback position has been in flux with the Cougars all season. Started the year with Derek King, and he surprised everybody by taking a red shirt this year after the 4th game, which means Clayton Toon took over the spot. And Toon, since taking over, has completed 52% of his passes with 5 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. However, Toon's been nursing a hamstring injury, so true freshman walk-on Logan Holgerson started 1 game this year. In their last game against SMU, Toon came back and he threw for 400 yards and 2 touchdowns. Whoever plays quarterback, they will want to throw the ball to Marquez Stevenson. He's a speedster. He caught 2 long touchdowns against SMU. He has 6 touchdowns this year, including a long of 96 yards.
Yeah, I saw his highlight against SMU, Mike. That guy is fast. He can scoot.
He's pretty quick.
He can scoot. He's gonna be a problem.
We're gonna have to put some guys on him. Never take your eyes off that guy. Always know where he is.
Well, yeah, we'll see who comes out. The Eric King, I would say, it seems like a lifetime ago that happened. It's weird that it hasn't really been all that long. We'll see what this Clayton Toon has in store. If he plays, if he's still able. If not, we get walk-on Logan Holgerson, who was obviously the coach's son, so it could be an interesting quarterback day. But Stevenson, he scares me.
Yep.
We mentioned Dana Holgerson, and he is the new head coach of Houston. This is our third fact. He was formerly the head coach of West Virginia, where he was 61-41 in his time there. Holgerson is a disciple of the Mike Leach offense. He was on Leach's staff at Texas Tech, and then actually was the OC at Houston in 2008 and 2009. Coming back this season, marked with a lot of fanfare. However, there was some controversy with the program surrounding King's red shirt. There was a kid who got on Twitter and talked about the program, and he recently had an unfortunate hot mic moment where he talked about how he felt about his team, which you can Google. It's pretty funny. However, it had to have been tough for Hogo to leave West Virginia, mainly because, Mike, in 2014, he built a luxury home made completely of cross-laminated timber. What is that, you ask? Well, Mike, cross-laminated timber is a wood panel product made from gluing layers of solid sawn lumber together. Each layer of boards is usually oriented perpendicular to adjacent layers and glued on the wide faces of each board, usually in a symmetric way so that the outer layers have the same orientation. How could you leave a house that has all that going on, Mike?
I've never heard of cross-laminated timber before. Sounds very intricate. Why can't he just build one of these in Houston?
It's a good question. I tried to research more about this. I could not find other information. I want to know that was it just this is the way the house was made, so he's like, I'll take it? Or is he like, hey, I want to build a house, but here's what I need. I need that cross-laminated timber. Like, was it a special request? Was this just the way the house was built? Did he lose a bet to some guy? Like, I need to know more about this cross-laminated timber. Maybe we can all Google it together and figure out what his house looked like in West Virginia. But definitely keep an eye out for that cross-laminated timber. You never know when you're going to need it.
I'm definitely going to have to Google image search this house, see what it looks like.
Okay, get after it.
I hope it's not too nice, because then my wife's going to want it.
Okay, you're going to move to West Virginia, or are you going to build one yourself?
Well, I'm not building it, that's for sure.
Actually, hold on. I see images. It doesn't look like it's built out of that crap. Actually, you know what? I can see it. It does, actually. It does. Yeah. All right. That's not bad, Mike. This could be you.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not really much of a country guy, more of a city guy.
Fair enough.
All right, number 4. Whenever you hear about the University of Houston, you often hear the name Tillman Fertitta. So who is he? Well, he's an alumnus and a booster, and he's worth $5.1 billion.
With the B?
That ranks him, with the B.
Oh.
That ranks him number 153 on the Forbes list. Fertitta's first and main business venture is a restaurant chain named Landry's, which he has now converted into a corporation that owns chains such as Bubba Gump, Morton Steakhouse, and McCormick and Schmick's. Fertitta is also the owner of the NBA's Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
At the University of Houston, Fertitta has contributed money to upgrade the football stadium, completely redo the basketball arena, which now has his name, and Fertitta is also the chairman of the board of the Regents. So he's involved in major decisions, including the hiring of coaches such as Dana Holgorsen.
A couple things. There are 152 other people who have more than $5.1 billion.
Apparently.
It's crazy.
Not us.
I just checked. You're right. It is not us. Bubba Gump's, Morton Steakhouse, or McCormick and Schmick's. Have you been to any of those? And if so, what's your favorite?
I've been to Bubba Gump's for sure.
Yeah, so have I.
Don't know if I've been to Morton Steakhouse, and I've never heard of McCormick and Schmick's.
There's one in West Palm Beach at City Place. It's a seafood place. It's not bad. You might enjoy it. I don't know if you're. I think you're a seafood guy. It's not bad.
Yeah, I'm down for some seafood.
You'd enjoy.
Bubba Gump's I've been to once. It's kind of a touristy place. It's okay. I don't remember anything spectacular from it. Morton Steakhouse. I don't know if I've been. I'm sure I have. I just can't remember.
Quick update on Holgerson's house. It was 2.95. Now he cut it to 2.5. So it's still available, Mike, in May at least. It certainly looks like wood panel. It doesn't mention in any of these. You can find it on Zillow, actually. So if you're still into that kind of thing, maybe why doesn't Tillman Fertitta buy it for him? He's got $5.1 billion lying around, and he owns the Rockets now too.
Yeah, he wouldn't even feel that $2 million. It's like $20 to us.
Yeah, that's actually probably true. Who was the richest UCF booster? Do we know? Like, do we have a Tillman Fertitta?
Ooh, well, I don't know if they went to UCF. But what about the Roth family? That seems to make a lot of money.
Yeah, all right.
Wayne Dench.
Good old, the Denches. Okay, yeah, we should get our own Tillman Fertitta.
Yeah, I don't think those guys come close to $5.1 billion, but I may be wrong. Maybe they are.
Maybe one of the other 152 people above that will be UCF fans, and we can talk them into it. Also, for this Tillman Fertitta, his cousins Lorenzo and some other guy used to own the UFC, so not UCF, but the UFC. Fun fact.
Right.
All right, here's the fifth and final fact that you have to know. Houston's nickname is the Cougars, and it was given to them by a former PE teacher at the school because he just liked the name. So in 1946, it became the official mascot. And between 1947 and 1989, the school used a live cougar as the mascot. Each of those cougars was named Shasta. So after Shasta V died in 1989, the school used a costumed mascot from 1989 until 2012, when they then purchased Shasta VI. I know what you're thinking. Aren't cougars dangerous? And yes, Mike, you are correct. In fact, there was an incident that happened in 2007 where the cougar was involved in an altercation with an Oregon mascot. But it wasn't the animal cougar. It was the costume version. And in any event, the Oregon Duck mascot attacked the cougar, which you can still find on YouTube, and I encourage you to do so because the Oregon Duck just went ham on the Houston Cougar. Lastly, my only piece of advice to you people out there, if you're going to Google the phrase, are there live cougars in Houston, just make sure you're not at work because you never know the results you're going to get. Just a little tip from me to you.
I am going to Google live cougars in Houston because I am very curious now. And I believe you're the guy who told me one time when you search for Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yes.
Do not search Dicks.com.
That's correct.
Not the proper website.
You're not going to get. You may get balls and bats, but it's not the kind that you were probably searching for. Yeah, Dick's Sporting Goods is the full official title on that one too. Yeah, I just figured I was curious. Like, are there actual down in South Florida, Mike, there's the Florida Panthers, right? So it's always like, are there actually Panthers in Florida? And if you Google it, yes, there actually are Panthers out in Florida in the Everglades, right? So I'm like, I wonder if there's actually, a section of Houston where there are cougars. Well, apparently there are sections of cougars. They're called bars, and that's where you can find the cougars. If I read all that stuff correctly on the internet. So my 12-year-old was really excited to see that Daddy was doing some good research. So Father of the Year.
Well, when she did the picks a couple weeks ago, we found out that she likes cougars, and I also like cougars, maybe a different variety.
Yeah. Well, then this may be the Google search for you. So if you're thinking of future road trips, perhaps this is one that you want to cross off. But all right, Mike, 5 good informative facts that people need to know about the University of Houston. I expect a full recap of your Zillow tour of Dana Holgerson's house and a food review of McCormick and Schmick's coming up anytime now. Okay.
All right, you got it. I'll have it ready for next week.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you on Sons of UCF next week.
All right, man. Charge on. Talk to you later.
All right, my thanks to all my guests this week. So Ryan from GoCougs.com, Trace Trylko for making an audio cameo on the weekly coaches conference call as always. Thank you, Trace. Again, Dana Holgerson's voice. Thank you, Dana Holgerson's voice. UCF Mike is here each week and gives you 5 facts, so we appreciate Mike for hopping on. Again, this is the end of, I guess, a big week of shows here on the Knightline Sports Network. If you don't listen or tune in to all of them, shame on you, but you should. So Knightline Flagship comes out every Sunday. Then you can get myself and Mike at the Sons of UCF show. Jeff Allen's out, midweek with the AAC report. And then you've got this show, and then don't forget after the game, the morning after show on 580 ESPN Radio with our very own Andrew Phegley. Plenty of places for you to hear and understand more about UCF and the American Conference as a whole. So make sure you tune in and listen to all of those shows. In the meantime, make sure you get out to the stadium Saturday, 12 noon. Tune in to ESPN2 if you can't make it. Watch the game, cheer on the Knights. Space game, it should be a fun one. And let's go 1-0 again this week. And then we'll be back to talk about it all next week. Until then, this is Adam, Knightline Extra. Take care.